easier this year is I think we have a pretty clear idea who the Mariners are.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone feel like you just don't know who this team is? They can be inconsistent. Not that they're exactly the same night in, night out. They're going to have variations in how they play. And I think they'll be better offensively than they've shown so far. I do. Not necessarily much, much better, but I think they'll be better. But I think I know who they are.
Yeah. Do you feel like you know who the rest of the American League is?
Not yet, which is
because
why,
I think that's why, that's kind of to your point that this is why it's a real early conversation.
Yep.
And by the way, I'm going to text Pass, and I don't want his child's number, but when his child came to him last night and said, "Father, are the Kansas City Royals good?" Jeff Passan needs to say yes. Okay, the Kansas City Royals are good. They're fast. They're athletic. They play defense. They can pitch. Their bullpen is nasty. They got some real danger in their lineup, and you saw that yesterday as you try to pitch around a few people, and it comes back and kind of burns you a little bit. So Kansas City Royals, 8-9 games over 500. We saw this last year, right? We kind of felt them coming last year in the two matchups with them. Like, I don't like playing those guys. Like, those guys are fast and athletic, and holy cow. Is Witt right up there as one of the fastest players with De La Cruz in all of baseball?
He is, yes.
He's just a menace to deal with. So I think that is what's going to really transpire. And what's great for the Mariners, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday, so they wrap up with the Royals, and then you get to see the other really good teams. You get to see Baltimore. You get to see the Yankees. You get to kind of see where you stand, right? To both identify what you are and then identify what the rest of the market could be.
Yeah, you're working on that now, as is everybody else. So these conversations about who's going to be available and what you want to deal, they're pretty early, right? I mean, you're a couple months away from this being reality. But,
it's like a few weeks into dating. Are you ready to get married?
No.
I was.
I certainly don't need to say so.
I mean,
by the way,
I was.
Passan's toddler child asked if they are real, not if they're
Oh,
good,
right.
If they're real.
Yeah, I don't want
So you need
to
some time
correct you on
there,
that.
right?
They feel real.
Yeah.
They feel awfully real.
What is real? No, they are a good team. We don't know yet who else is going to be in that category and who's going to fall out of it. But it is kind of fun throwing out some of these names and thinking about what the Mariners are going to do. And I guess if there's kind of one big takeaway is I can't imagine, Jeff asked about this yesterday. Will they quote unquote go all in? Will they trade from their stash of pitching in order to get better offensively? I feel strongly that they should not do that. I thought more about it last night. I thought about that Jim Bowden cut that we played of him saying that, they're going to need to be uncomfortable and trade from their pitching. No, they don't. It really is ridiculous. It's two bad takes in one interview from Jim Bowden. That one is it's wrong.
Well, I'm going to give him a little grace because he's looking at that, from the entirety of it, Salk. And you can understand why National Voice would say, yeah, I want their starting pitching. Like, I want a piece of what they've done with the development of their arms because they're better than anybody else in baseball.
They cannot trade major league starting pitching if they want to be a contender. And I think if you're the Mariners and you want to learn from the last three trade deadlines, in one of them you made the playoffs, in two of them you did not, right? In the one you made the playoffs, you went out and traded prospects for major league pitching. In the two, that being Luis Castillo.
And that was Arroyo and Marte and Williamson, like your guns.
Yep.
That would be the equivalent today of
I think was
Cole
Williamson
Young.
in that deal or the other deal? I never remember which one, who was in which.
Williamson was in Winker.
He was in the Winker deal. I think it was maybe Levi Stout who was in the Castillo deal, but whatever. Your point is well taken.
Yes.
You traded prospects for a major league pitcher, and it worked out. In the other two, you tried to thread the needle and kind of like trade major leaguers for major leaguers, and that's where you get the Paul Sewald deal and the Kendall Graveman deal. And in both of those seasons, you just missed the playoffs. Is that the reason why? I don't know. But let's learn from the difference there and ascribe probably more value than we should to the two different ways they handled those three seasons. If I'm the Mariners and you continue to do what you've done so far and hover in and around first place in the American League West and in a playoff spot, actually add. Don't compromise add. Don't back and forth add. Actually add. And that means not dealing anything from your starting pitching depth that's major league ready because those guys are going to be necessary. You've already used 6. You're probably going to end up using more. Brian Wu is going to be a fragile question mark throughout the season. you're going to, if anything, need more. Now, look, if you want to trade Emerson
Would you include
Hancock,
Emerson? Yeah, would you include
Yes.
Emerson Hancock? in your
Major
League
League
pitching?
ready pitching.
Okay.
Is he Major
Logan
League ready?
Evans? Logan Evans?
I don't know enough yet about Logan Evans, so I don't know what to tell you about that. But certainly the 6 guys that have pitched in the major leagues this year for the Mariners, I'm not going to use the word untouchable because nothing is untouchable, but they should be pretty close unless you're going to pull a deal where, hey, you're going to upgrade from one of them to somebody who's older, more experienced, and ready to pitch right now. I don't like that. Not when you've got the kind of prospects that you do, especially in the low minors, and the ability to go out and try. And there's some interesting players available, but you got to be dealing from your prospect stash, not from your major league pitching.